Welcome to the Bilingual Summit I Am Alive, a ceremonial 5-day event where we invite you to liberate your essence, celebrate your life, its cycles, your sexuality, and every breath and every heartbeat. My name is Amalai, and I am the founder of the Amalai School, a school of wisdom and connection. And together with Mark Guerrero, we are the creators of this summit. It is such an honor that today I'm sharing this space with DeAnna Lam, fondly known as Womb Visionary. DeAnna began offering menstrual empowerment to women in the early 1990s. She has been on the leading edge of the global red tent movement since its beginning and has trained women in over 30 countries. DeAnna brought menstrual empowerment work to Israel, her country of origin, helping Jewish and Palestinian women surpass political and religious differences by deeply bonding around their shared cyclical nature. She's an author of Becoming Peers, mentoring girls into womanhood and a diva's guide to getting your period. A founder of the Red 10 Academy, Womb Academy, Red Moon School of Empowerment for Women and Girls, and Red Tents in every neighborhood. Welcome, 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 DeAnna. I am so excited to have you here today and with all the wisdom you are going to share about the womb wisdom to us. But
I'm
before
delighted
starting,
to be here.
yes.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me, and thank you to all who are gathering with us from anywhere you're sitting in the world. It's wonderful to sit together.
Mm. It's a beautiful presence and energy that you are sharing with us, DeAnna. So maybe before starting with this topic that you are going to share with us, I would like to ask you what keeps DeAnna alive? Like what makes you feel alive every day?
I would say striving to be present, striving to be in the moment with each breath, instead of being in the past or in the future. So it's a practice, it's an ongoing practice, but what is enlivening is to be able to be with every breath when I can in the moment, to feel the pulse of my life in my heart, in my womb, in myself.
Wow. Wow. That's beautiful. And sometimes that's something that we don't do much.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's an excellent reminder. So tell us more about womb wisdom. What is it, DeAnna?
So as women, we are the container, the home, the temple of the womb. The womb is a place of renewal, whether it gives life to another child or human being, or whether it only gives life to ideas and creation and creativity. It's a place of renewing ourselves. And as women, there are two things that we are completely unaware of. One is the magical, sacred, spiritual nature of our womb. And two, the fact that it connects us to all women everywhere. That this is something we have in common with every woman and makes us blood sisters with every woman under the sun. And it has the wisdom of renewal that we will speak more of, but that's the core of the womb wisdom.
Wow. As you speak, I can sense and feel the energy that just bringing this topic, it feels all the sisters um, are present. So, how do you discover your own womb wisdom?
So I started researching and looking into that in the early 90s, 1992, 1993, in the previous century and previous millennium, some 30 years ago. I was in a place where I was very satisfied with my work. and very satisfied with my relationship with my husband of now 31 years together. But once a month I became a basket case. Once a month I went into an emotional roller coaster, and I couldn't believe that nature designed half of the human race, womankind, to suffer every month. It just wasn't conceivable to me that that's how it should be. So I started investigating how menstruation was held in indigenous cultures. And I discovered that in all continents, in all indigenous cultures around the world, menstruation and our cyclicity was revered as the seat of magic, of creativity, the realization that a woman in her bleeding time is becoming a shaman. In indigenous cultures, the time of menstruation is considered to be the time when the veil between the worlds is thin. So we are close to the spirit world when we bleed in a way that we're not close at other times of the month. The veil thins for us. And in all continents, in all cultures, in indigenous tribes, women gathered together during their moon time in moon lodges, red tents, moon huts, to be, first of all, to allow ourselves to go inwards, because we are lunar, our womb is lunar, we need to expand and contract. And when we bleed, we need to go inward. And the tribes were clear that the women need to receive their sacred space, and that the men and all the children will take care of their chores during the time that they bleed. And they sat in the moon lodges to renew themselves, to be in community with other women, and to dream prophecies for their tribes. So that people came to ask questions of the bleeding women, personal questions, and the elders came with questions on the direction of the tribe. And it was clear that what the women dream when they are in the moon lodge, when they are on their moon time, is guidance, and there was no doubt that it would be followed by everyone. So that's the wisdom of the womb that I discovered 30 years ago and started living according to it, because I started, as I said, by questing to know what was the original design of this thing that is ailing us and paining us. So the more I started honoring my moon time in my life 30 years ago, taking time off and allowing myself to rest and to renew myself every month, the less and less symptoms I had, until it became non-event. It was a need to go inward, but I didn't have symptoms. I didn't have that roller coaster. So that's how it started. That's what I discovered.
That's beautiful, because that roller coaster that you are mentioning, it's something that many women are still experiencing.
I know.
There is like young women, because I was just talking with someone 2 days or 3 days ago about her daughter and the hormonal shift that she's having, and the anxiety that that's like creating into her daughter. And then it's this is just dedicating this time to go inwards and starting. Is such a gift if we start like that early age.
Yes.
To go within ourselves.
Yes.
That's a gift. Wow.
Yes, and what happens is that we don't know that this is a call of our soul and our body to rest. So then, because we don't do it, the body starts speaking to us in symptoms, either physical pain or emotional pain. And then we don't listen, we take medications instead of going inward. And this is like having the red light in your car, say the gas is low, you have to fill up with gas. So what we do is, instead of going to fill up with gas, we smash the light that tells us red light, red light.
Yes.
So that's when the symptoms continue and grow and become louder and bigger, because we don't listen. So if we listen to the car, we go and fill our gas. If we listen to our body, we go and rest and we fill our emotional batteries.
Wow. That's incredible. That's beautiful, in fact, and credible.
Hmm.
More than incredible, it's credible. And how would other women could start accessing and creating this, accessing their wisdom, and also, I would say, entering into this womb wisdom? Because what you just shared about, like, this thin veil that is creating during this period of time, and that people used to look for these women, um, to get the prophecies from the tribes. That's also a beautiful gift, and it's a recognition for the women and this period in their lives, in their
Yes.
monthly cycles, in fact.
Yes. Yes. The way that women can begin is, first of all, to realize that we're brainwashed, that our cultures around the world, west, east, north, south, our cultures are talking about menstruation, not talking about menstruation. First of all, are not even mentioning it. It's a taboo. And when they do, they talk about it as something gross and disgusting and something you're not allowed to be curious about, and something to medicate, and something to hide, something to really be ashamed of. So when women begin to hear how much wisdom there is in the womb, this is the second floor, but the ground floor is that we have absorbed a lot of negativity from our cultures, from our families, from our mothers, who've got it from their mothers, who got it from their mothers. So the first step would be to realize that we have been brainwashed, and there is a lot of junk and spam in our womb, in our cells, in our cellular memory from our cultures, that is housing all the negativities we absorbed. So the first step would be to start releasing that, and then to start honoring. But we can't start with the honoring on the second floor without the foundation, because you can't honor on the basis of all the junk that's there. And there is a lot that we have accumulated. So this is my work, to help women go back into when we have absorbed all this cultural spam, release it, recognize it, release it, let it go, and then begin to fill up with the beauty and honor and sacredness of our moon time and honor of our womb.
Wow. So if they, so that's something is important. It's yeah. Sometimes I call it is the lies that we've been told, and that
Yes,
we grew up for so long, and now is understanding. Hey, this is not the truth,
yes,
and is start connecting with ourselves.
yes.
I am curious to know, like, how does it change? You mentioned about that the hormonal shift totally disappear, and how was that
Mm.
connection beyond that? How was the connection you got, or with your wisdom, with your inner wisdom?
So let me correct. It's not that the hormonal shift disappeared. It's that the pain and the symptoms disappeared.
The pain and the symptoms.
Because
Okay.
we still
Thank you.
stay women,
Yeah.
and we cycle, and our hormones definitely shift. That's
Yes.
not something that we, only with the medication that people are giving women, like the birth control pill, that would change the hormonal fluctuation. But that's a medical intervention, and it's an artificial intervention. So what changes is how I and we perceive this. So what changed is not the hormones, what changed is the listening to what I need, to what our soul and our body needs at different times of the month. So when we ovulate, it's a different hormonal shift in our body and different need. Generally speaking, when we ovulate, there is much more of a sense of expanding and being extroverted. When we bleed, there is much more a sense of withdrawing and being introverted and needing to go in and not to be with people and not to interact and not to be in the face of the world and the projects and the chores that we have to do. So you asked about the wisdom that it brings. In order to listen to our inner wisdom, we have to go inward. So we can't be taking care of children and cooking and cleaning the house and washing the dishes and being shamans. It doesn't work. There is too much clutter there.
Yeah.
There is no wisdom. There is no room for wisdom. There is no quietness to listen to the wisdom. So when we begin to take time off in the bleeding time, we are able to make space emotionally, physically, spiritually to listen. And that's when the womb wisdom begins to bubble up and to speak. But it wouldn't be able to do that when we're in the hustle and bustle of the world and of our daily life as if it's a regular day, because it's not.
So this is a space for them, and I would say to stop and create that space to go inward.
Yes.
You would say
exactly.
It's time to pause.
Yes, it's time to pause. And the biggest challenge that I see with women when they discover this is to give themselves permission to pause. We don't allow ourselves because there is work and children and house and relationships and all of that. So women are amazed by the idea that they can pause, and then they don't allow themselves. They don't give themselves permission. And that's huge, to learn how to give ourselves permission to pause.
Yes, and we are talking also, I believe, to release the so-called responsibility and the guilt
Yes.
for not being there on those days
Yes.
for their
Yeah.
husband or their partner or their children.
Yes.
So that's the permission. It's important, and also to realize that they are also responsible of themselves.
Yes, giving ourselves permission is a journey. I work with women around the world, and it's a big journey. They think that it's something that they would like to do, but then when the time comes, they don't. And they also, for most of the women, they also wait for permission from the outer world, from the husband or the partner or the children or the boss. And if we have inner permission, we can negotiate everything with the surrounding. But when we don't have inner permission, then we think it's the other person's fault. It's the boss's fault. It's the husband's fault. It's the child's fault. I can't do it because he wouldn't allow me. I can't do it because he needs me or she needs me, my daughter. So we put it on others, whereas the root is that we don't give ourselves permission.
And how would you say that they can practically start creating this space? Because I would say that sometimes, and I can imagine myself before in the hustle of every day working and trying to do so many things, because I would say I kind of grew up in this paradigm of do, achieve, and do all those things. So at that time, if I look back, it would have been like difficult to think that I will create like, I don't know, 3 days or 4 days to pause.
Yes.
What would you recommend them for everybody that is listening today? Like, how can they start? Can they start with 1 day and just allow themselves for some hours? Like, is there something that they can start with?
Yes. So I would say we don't have to be doing 100% or zero. It's not all or nothing. It would be wonderful if you can take 3 or 4 days, but most women can't. So you can take 1 day, you can take half a day, you can take an hour. So if you work in an office, you take the lunch hour and you go be away from people. Maybe you take your lunch, and if there is anywhere you can be in nature during that hour, be quiet, eat by yourself, don't interact, don't be in the face of people. If you're at home, take a half an hour by yourself. If the children are old enough, not babies, you can tell them, I need now 30 minutes for you to quietly play with yourself, and I will I will come back after half an hour with more energy to be with you. I need to rest right now. If there is very young children and even this is not possible, I would say get up 10 minutes earlier than your family in the morning and light a candle and sit quietly and breathe and listen to yourself and give a tone to this day that's a different day than all other days. So taking these 10 minutes before everyone else is up in the household is like a homeopathic dose. You don't have to take 4 days or 0. 10 minutes here and there, and then during the day another 10 minutes. If the child has a nap, then you go take a nap with the child. You don't do the dishes at that time. So you take little homeopathic doses during the day, and you begin to see that it has a ripple effect. It's not the quantity of time, it's the quality of complete shutting off the world and being inside that will begin to give you the ripple effect of renewal from within, even if it's
Wow.
not a full day.
Wow. That's yeah, I believe that's totally doable.
Yes,
And
yes.
it can be implemented. So it's very, very practical what you just shared, Diana.
Mm.
So here we've been talking about also how can women discover their womb wisdom, and you just share how they can start inviting this time and pausing during this time. Then the other question that comes to me also is how can mothers raise womb-wise daughters?
So how we do it currently is that we are not honoring ourselves and our womb and our moon time. So we're raising another generation like our mother raised us, because she hated her period and we saw that. And now if we hate our period, our daughters see that, and that's what they will remember, even if we give them a talk about how beautiful it is. But then they see that we get our period and we say, oh my God, I got my period. They see that more than the words that we speak when we have time to give them a lecture. So how women can raise daughters that are empowered is by modeling. So the first duty that you have, even to your daughter, is to nurture yourself, because she will see that. And I travel around the world and I speak with women, and not once did I meet a woman who said, I remember my mother taking care of herself, taking time to rest, renewing herself every month in her moon time. Not one. But your daughter can be saying that. Your daughter can grow up with a mother that honors herself. And how you would raise her to be empowered is by modeling that, not by lectures, and not by talks, and not by books, by living this for yourself and modeling it for her, so that she grows up seeing you taking care of yourself, and that would be her guide.
Wow, that's yeah, that makes total sense, modeling, because at the end, I think when we are a child, we are programmed with what we see outside ourselves,
Yes,
and that's what we are acting every day
yes,
without us knowing consciously, but we are just
yes,
replicating what we saw
exactly,
in our
exactly.
parents. So I
Yeah.
think that that's yeah, that's key. That's total key. And so I'm curious because you share, like, when I read everything that you've done and for so long, it's amazing. So the curiosity that I have is, during this period when you were connecting and you were in your womb wisdom, do you receive prophecies? Do you your I suppose your these ideas or everything you created, because you did a lot of things to spread this information across women everywhere. So would you say that this is part of what you access within yourself when you allow this time?
Yes. So when I began, you asked me about the beginning. So when I began,
Yes.
I did it only for myself. And then I realized that the need of women to receive this information is huge. And 30 years ago, there was hardly anyone at all anywhere that was speaking about menstruation or about the power of it. So as I was going inward to receive renewal for myself, I received more and more guidance to bring it out into the world. And as I was doing that, I was guided from within with all the offerings that I had created and the courses and the workshops. It all came from within. So it's all original work that was birthed inside the temple of myself, going to receive guidance from inside.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing, and I believe that's also something that motivate us and will inspire every person that is listening to go inside, because I believe women, what we want is to access to our essence, to who we are, to start
Yes.
listening our wisdom. And one way to do it is to start going inwards and listen that period every month, because every month we have that space to be with ourselves. So
Yes.
I believe nature, it's fantastic,
Yes.
because it's just giving us like, hey, this is
Yes.
your
Yes.
time. There is no
Yes.
way that you can forget about this, because it's like
Yes.
very clear.
Yes. And we have an opportunity again and again and again, every month, again and again and again. And for me, I'm beyond my bleeding years. I have not bled for 6 or 7 years now. And the same rhythm of the moon keeps being part of who I am, because as women, we're hardwired to be lunar, to be cyclical. So my womb doesn't flow anymore, but the wisdom and the cycle continue with connection to the moon. So we have an opportunity every month, not only during our bleeding years, but for the rest of our lives.
Oh, wow, that's great. So the other piece that you mentioned and you created is red tents.
Yes.
Um, so would you recommend the women to create that space for them to where they can be with themselves, for create kind of um, a sanctuary, a corner,
Yes.
a
Yes.
pillow, or somewhere that they will say, oh, this is my red tent and this is my
Yes.
place where I'm going to be inwards?
Yes, that's the foundation. So in all of my Red Tent activation workshops and in the Red Tent Academy, I always invite women to begin with their own red tent. It starts with something that we do for ourselves. We can't, even though many women are called to offer red tents to other women, we have to start with ourselves. Like the mother has to start with herself to model it for the daughter. We have to do this practice of honoring and taking our own inner time in our own personal red tent before we can offer it to others, and continue to have that for ourselves while we offer it for others. It's not something that we do a V. We've done that. Now we're offering it to others. We have to continue to cater for ourselves throughout our lives. So yes, it all starts with having a space for ourselves. Like you said, maybe just your pillow, maybe just your a wrap, a red wrap, or anything else that would be your sacred space, as small as it could be.
And that's also very useful, because it's kind of, it activates you or reminds you that, okay, you have that
Yes,
particular thing or that red wrap that you mentioned.
yes,
So these red tents, I'm not going, I know we are talking about the womb wisdom, but you've done so many activities about it. It comes from the old practices that you mentioned at the beginning of this conversation.
Yes, so I started, like I said, in the early 90s, and the Red
Yes.
Tent book was not yet written. So I was calling it Menstrual Empowerment. The Red Tent book by Anita Diamant, which is a historic novel about the biblical women who were sitting in the Red Tent, was published in 98, I believe, maybe 97, 98.
Wow.
So I started in the beginning of the 90s, and I called it Menstrual Empowerment, and my organization was Red Moon. So it took a while to reach women with this consciousness, which was very new. And then when the Red Tent book came out and it became an international bestseller, to this day, I have women that say, "Oh, it's the best book I've ever read. I love it." So what I realized at that point is that this is a language that can really bridge the gap. So I started using the words red tent because women everywhere began to know what it meant. So when I was saying menstrual empowerment, maybe they didn't know what I mean, but when I said red tent, that's when women honored their moon time and they went into the red tent to withdraw from the daily life. So I started using that because it was a language that was communicative to women across cultures around the world.
Wow. Wow. That's beautiful. And you've been totally, I would say, you created a new paradigm, or you brought something from our ancestors back
Mm,
to us. You
mm,
brought this back to us, which is a gift also,
mm.
because I think we've forgotten all those things.
We have.
So what would you say, why is it important for women in the world? And also I would invite the men to, because I think they are also supporting for women
Yes.
to create this space for themselves. Like, oh, why won't wisdom is important for the world?
Because we are cyclical beings that live in a linear world. So our world is very linear. The linearity is the essence of the sun. The masculinity is of the sun. The femininity is of the moon. So why it's important is because we are out of balance. We are lopsided. We both, women and men, have both rhythms inside of ourselves. Women are admittedly far more cyclical, but men do have cycles, and they are very much more responsive to the cycles of the seasons. And women have the sun inside of them and have the seasons within them, but they also have the quicker circles of lunar times of every month. And realizing that we're cyclical beings that live in a linear world, not only that the world is imbalanced, we are like round pegs that are trying to be fitting in a square hole. So both women and men need to realize that the balance is lacking, and to bring back the acknowledgement of the need to have both cyclicity and linearity. And without it, the world is out of balance. And let's look at the world how it looks today, completely out of balance.
Yes, yes. Wow, wow. That is that's a fact, and that's an invitation for all of us
Yeah.
to look back into and accept that everything is a cycle and we are totally cyclical. We are cyclical
Yes.
beings, and we are trying
Yes.
to live in a linear world where it is not. Even the seasons tell us, and nature tell us that it
Yes.
is cyclical, and we
Yeah.
try to
Yeah.
make it a linear one,
Exactly. We do. We do. And we pay the price.
and we pay the price. Yes,
Yeah.
but I think this is the time that I am a true believer that this is a time that we are rising again,
I agree.
and it is, I would say, our responsibility for every woman to
Yeah.
share the information with other ones
Yes.
and
Yes.
start shifting
Absolutely.
and bringing this balance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. So, Diana, I would like to ask you, and is there, I don't know if you are open to share something, um, guided for the people, maybe 5 minutes for them to have that first connection to their own wisdom? Do you think it's possible?
Sure,
Yes,
sure. Yeah,
that would
yeah.
be such a gift for all of us.
All right, so I invite us to close our eyes and take a deep breath and put one hand on our heart and one hand on our womb. And for a moment to just feel your heartbeat under one palm and your womb under the other. And from your palms to send love, to send warmth, to send energy into your heart, into the womb with each of your palms. And now focusing on your womb, letting the petals of your womb open like a flower. And notice the color of the petals in your womb. What flower is it today? And move your attention to your heart and feel the sun in your heart sending rays of light and warmth from your heart all around you, and specifically down to warm and nurture the womb flower below it. And the flower of your womb sends its roots down from your root, the base of your spine, into the earth. So you're rooted in the earth, receiving nourishment from the soil where your roots are, receiving nourishment from the sun above you, above the flower of your womb. It sends its warmth and light to the womb. And in between the earth and the sun, your womb flowers. And tune into your womb and invite a message from the depth of your womb. What do you need to hear today? And listen. Feel the rise and the fall of your breath under each one of your palms. And give gratitude to your womb for its message and its wisdom. To the earth for nourishing you from below. To the sun for nourishing you from above. And feel the pulse of life within you. And with gratitude to your heart and to your womb, Let them know that in a moment you're going to remove your palms, but that you are staying connected as often as you can. And keeping your eyes closed, gently begin to remove your palms and bring them to your lap or to your sides. And feel how you can still be tuned to your heart and womb even without having your hands on. And with your eyes closed, begin to remember your surrounding, the room around you, the colors and shapes, and your orientation toward them. Remember what's to your right and what's to your left, behind you and in front of you. And wiggle your toes to bring yourself into your body. Wiggle your fingers. Stretch. Let yourself bring your full awareness into your physicality and your attention into this moment. And when you feel fully here in your body, in this moment, let your eyes gently open. Welcome back.
Wow. It was short and so profound. It was so beautiful. As you were guiding into it, it was I felt like there were history in the walls of the womb, like letters, like telling a story, and ancient history that we hold there that wants sometimes to communicate to us. That's the sensation that it was so vivid, like those hieroglyphics sometimes that you see in certain walls. That's how I perceive that space. And then as we were going deep, it was becoming very I would say dark, but warm and safe and silence, and everything was pausing. It was beautiful. Thank you so much. It was
my pleasure.
It was
Really.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. It's I think it's the first time I connect with my womb in such a way that I did today while you were guiding it.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that. That's wonderful.
Yes, it's yeah, I think I've never connected like in that way with that wisdom and being able to listen. So it's just beautiful.
Thank you.
So definitely I will practice it more and more. So DeAnna, it's for me has been such an honor and such a gift to have this time to be in your presence in the energy, because I can feel it, and I'm sure people that I are listening today also are able to feel the energy that you irradiate, because that helps us. And I believe I always am a true believer that the consciousness and that awareness that we hold allow that people that is around to also open more and sometimes experience, because you just hold that awareness. So that's totally a gift. So to close this space, I would say, what would be the message that you would like to share for the people that are listening today?
That each of you as a woman is unique, and you have full permission to be yourself and to flower, to allow the flower that you are to bloom.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really, I
It is my
appreciate
pleasure.
your time. And for the people that are watching us today, you will have access and you can access to the gift that DeAnna has. And you will have all the information about DeAnna in the link under her biography. So you have access and the link to her website, and you also will access the gift that she is sharing with all of you. So I totally recommend to you to visit her page to know her better, and of course to access any of the courses and programs that she has available. So DeAnna, thank you.
My pleasure. It was a joy and an honor to be here, and blessings to all of you women of the world. We are rising.
We are rising.
Yes.